Buenos dias. Good morning. Hope everybody is doing well that's listening to this. Sorry it's been so long since we put an update video out. The school, we're in going into week 4 already, so we're almost halfway through the school. And the stories that I'm getting to hear, the testimonies, and seeing already just within a few weeks how many of them are growing, and it's just been awesome. It's so good to be here, to walk in this environment, to see how discipleship it's just happening, and the growth, especially for the young believers. And the nice thing with this school, it's just interesting, is that everyone is single, and most everyone is young, like, under 30. And it's just interesting dynamics. But just seeing the love for the Lord has been awesome. Like the evangelistic zeal in this group for this school has been super powerful. Last night we went out and did some evangelism. And we broke up into different villages, and I'm still helping out with the evangelism, the outreach. Although I do have one of our local pastors here, Armando, who's kind of orchestrating some of that with me this time around. So like last week, we did a worship outreach where we split up into 4 worship teams across 4 villages, and right in the city square. And some of the worship teams, they all were doing worship and some, just sharing from their hearts. And then the rest of us were going out the square and we're just praying with people. Or if God was leading a few of us to go down a certain street to meet people, we can do that. Hey everybody, we are out here in Mexico in a town called Canacin, just outside the school. And I'm here with our sisters, Ariana and Judy.
Hey.
And what just happened?
Yeah, so we met this young 16-year-old boy, and he was a youth leader at a Catholic church. He's going through with a confirmation. Yep. And so we shared, Brian first laid his hands on him, prayed for him for healing, for his headache, and also peace and a settled mind. And his headache went away, and then we shared the gospel. Yeah, he felt a lot of peace, and we shared the gospel with him then afterward.
Yes. Yeah, it was really good. And it's just saying, we can be bold with people. Like, hey, can I show you how we share the gospel to people in 5-7 minutes? And then he led us, and we shared with him. And I think there was a lot that he was thinking about. And he said that it was a really fun and understanding way, and such a simple way to know the gospel that he hasn't heard in the years that he's been in church. So yeah, I think it was really amazing, and can't wait to see what God does the rest of the night.
Yes, hallelujah. And here we are doing worship tonight in the square. We've got people all around us, and we're just out here talking with people. And one of our brothers had a vision of a particular a Roman Catholic decorative crown, kind of an idolatrous kind of a thing, inside of a store across from a particular house. And sure enough, we went and we found it. And we got to pray with the people in there, and they, of course, are staunch Roman Catholics. But one of the ladies in there, she had gone through a series of depression for various reasons, and she sat down for so long, just living sedentary, that she could barely walk. I mean, it was just really bad pain constantly in her body, and she was completely healed. We prayed for her; she got completely healed, and they were very thankful, and they had a little bit of they offered us Coca-Cola, and we sat and chatted with them for a bit. And they weren't open to the gospel. They're very staunch Roman Catholics, and they know us Christians. There's some differences there, but it was just cool healing for the young students to see. And then so last night we all broke up into 8 teams, different villages, and cool story for me. I thought it was really cool. We had a storm that began to roll in. Dark storm clouds were coming overhead, and I looked on the radar, and I'm like, oh yep, sure enough, we're supposed to get hit by this storm right now. And the team's like, well, hey, maybe we should go find somewhere to kind of get in shelter, or at least close by the bathrooms or something in this town, in case it starts raining. I said, well, what if we just pray? Let's just attack this thing and tell the storm to go. And so we started praying, commanded the storm to go, and in the natural, it didn't look like anything has changed, just sitting over the top of us, but not a single raindrop had fallen yet. And I was commanding no raindrops are going to fall. And then it's like, okay, now where do we go? And so we split up our teams again. And I looked down the street that was going right into where the heart of the storm looked like, where the clouds were the darkest. And I said, team, let's go this way, almost like taunting the storm in a sense, like just really testing my faith here. And we start walking in that direction, and we see a lady coming out of a pharmacy that she worked there. Her name was Maria. And I felt like we should stop and talk with her. And she has ulcers in her stomach, and really painful, and she can't afford to go to the doctors and even get it checked out, let alone, get the right medications and all that for healing. And so we just encourage her, like, hey, you've been praying and asking God to heal you, and I believe we're the answer. And so my sister here, she's been seeing healings. She's going to pray for you. And one of the young girls from Australia, I believe, anyway, she prayed for her, and all the pain left this woman's body. She was so thankful. We got her number. We're going to meet with her hopefully here in the next few days. So it was beautiful. And after that took place, I looked up and realized, wait, I see the sky, like the night sky. The clouds had completely moved away. Not a single raindrop fell. And I'm like, man, that is God. Like, that's just our faith growing. So beautiful, beautiful time. What's been going on our side? So I think the last update I sent you guys, I went to the U.S. I flew into the U.S. and I picked up our team that drove to the U.S. and we decided to drive back through Mexico. And 4 days through Mexico, beautiful experiences, beautiful time there. God would just bring us people to minister to, persons of peace. And one lady going through some really hard times, and she lived across the street from one of the persons of peace we were staying with, and she just happened to be walking outside her door when one of my teammates was out there walking around. And so we got to pray over her, minister to her. A lot of anxiety, a lot of depression, we see it visibly left her body. And she was like so gracious, so thankful. It was so beautiful. And then our family, when I got back to the camp, it was still a couple weeks before the school started. And we did a kickstart for a lot of the locals in the area. And so I did some teaching during that. I did the 4 grounds, and I think it went super well. And I saw some people touched. Most of them had already been through a kickstart, so it's kind of like a renewal for them as we began to put them into home groups. And so now we split what used to be the church, we split them into family groups, basically. So we wanted to start them off, some new people had come. We wanted to start them off right. And all that was during like this kickstart weekend time. And then our family decided to go to Belize and to get our visas renewed. And Belize, a different country. I mean, it was English speaking, Hispanic people, but all of them English speaking. And it was so weird coming over the border. And it's like, you're thinking, let me talk some Spanish. And they're all like looking at you funny. Like, they all speak English. So it was funny. And the cool thing too, like there's no box stores. There's no franchises in Belize. Everything is local, homegrown, like there's no Walmarts. There's no fast food McDonald's, or even like chain restaurants, or chain stores. The only chain store that I think we saw was a GNC. And that was it. And that was driving through the whole country, basically, of Belize. So we stayed for a week, met some awesome people. The brother who hosted us, he ended up just going back to the States and spent some time with our friends in Missouri through a CFAN fire camp. And I'm watching videos of him, and he's just on fire, and he has a lot that he wants to bring into his community there in Belize. And so we're looking at maybe we can do like some kind of an event and bring some of that with more of like a gospel focus to Belize, to some of this community. And so we're talking about that. We did have some issues coming back over the border. The border agents, they I don't know if they just weren't in a good mood or what. They heard that we were Christians when we came through, and because I was telling them about the school, and they would only give us 7 days on our visas. 7 days. And they said, if you want to stay longer, you need to go get your temporary residency. And I already looked into it, and I already know temporary residency, you can't get that unless you're outside the country. And so the next day, though, we decided to go back to the border and try again before we drove all the way back to Merida. And we found a person of peace there, and it was so cool with the border agent. Total person of peace. And as soon as he found out what we were doing, how we were making disciples, we were honest with him. My wife especially, I was kind of being more quiet and reserved in what I was sharing, and Joanna's like, nope, we're here making disciples, and this is what we're doing all over Merida and the surrounding areas. And we could hear him in the other room. Our friend who was with us, who could speak Spanish, he was listening, and he's like, man, that agent is fighting for you guys. And sure enough, he got us the 6-month visas. So not that we're going to be here for another 6 months, but just enough to stay for at least for the school and whatever God has for us after. So God worked that whole situation out, and it was beautiful. Then we got back, and the school started literally within a couple days. And like I said, it's been a roller coaster. I feel like I've been so busy these last few weeks with teachings, with outreach schedules, with things going on around the camp. Organizing our small groups and family groups. Just to get people to get more intimate with each other. And instead of just doing like small groups at school, we decided to do family groups as well. So we have the leadership, each of us, our husband and wife, like the couples, we're over the family, and we got a group of at least 3 to 4 of each gender. But then those 3 to 4 of each gender, they are also a small group that meets another time during the week with one of our helpers, who kind of guides them and makes sure that they're doing okay, and there's no issues. Life is going good, right? Just really checking with them and going deep. And our family group's more of like learning how to bond together, kind of going over some bigger things. We've been a few weeks into that, and I'm really enjoying our family group. It's been beautiful. Yeah, but life has been going really good here at the school. We've got, like I said, like 5 more weeks. This coming weekend, there's a kickstart about 8 hours away. Just over half the students are going to be going to that. And then the rest of the stay behind are going to be doing a Luke 10 trip. So they'll have 2 Luke 10 trips this school. So this will be the one that they'll get to start with. It'll be like a preliminary one. So really excited for that too. Again, if I go to Tabasco, if I stay back, I'll go on the Luke 10 trip with the team. But I'll be organizing them. And last school, we organized our Luke 10 trips based on where everyone felt they were in like the fivefold ministry. Not that we believe that, we're only someone's an apostle and someone is an evangelist. Like, none of that. But I think every one of us naturally have a DNA within us. Like, we're naturally drawn. Like, some can go out and evangelize all day long, and they're just so fired up. And if they have to sit and talk with someone for more than 15 minutes, it's like they're like drained. Where others can sit and talk with someone for 3-4 hours. But going out and evangelize, if they don't have someone to sit down with pretty fast, they get drained by just walking and talking to people, short conversations. And of course, others are like, can sit and talk about the word all day. That's me. And, that's more like your teacher DNA. And you just get so energized from those, conversations and the word. So everyone, I think, has a natural DNA, but then also, we're all called to grow up into the fullness of Messiah in all things. And that comes with us growing in every aspect of the fivefold, the prophetic included in that. But naturally, so during a fivefold teaching, everyone breaks up into kind of where they feel like maybe their strongest place is at, where they feel like their primary DNA is at, just so they can really grow in that, but then also learn how to honor the others and how to learn to work together with the others and even build the others in their lives. So the cool thing we did last school with the Luke 10 trip is I decided to break up each team as best as we could along those fivefold categories. So trying to have every one of those within each team. So having a shepherd, a teacher, an evangelist, and a prophet in each one of the teams. And it went pretty cool hearing the stories and hearing just how God was able to flow more freely, it seems, with every one of the giftings in operation. And so I'm excited to get to organize that again here for this coming week, for the students that are staying behind, not going on the kickstart. And so, it's been really good. Post-school, we're still praying about what God's calling us to, as far as if we go back to the States and go back into the normal life. The other part of us, we've been really pressing into Spanish. We're both, I'm going through a year-long course right now, and I'm about 3 months through it. I'm like 1 lesson shy of having 3 months through this course and learning a lot. And we both of us, we have missionary hearts, and we're realizing too, like, we don't want to lose the momentum we've gotten with the language. We don't want to lose momentum here and what's going on here, in just Mexico and Latin America even. Like, we feel like the whole world would open up to us if we could really continue this growing in this language and just continue working out here. And it's so easy to get into churches here in Mexico and Latin America. As foreigners, you just walk up and we start talking about Christ, and we go to churches, and it's amazing how they're like, hey, can you come and can you preach with us next Sunday? And like, they're just hungry for more. And of course, there's like the novelty of a foreigner, all of that. But it's so easy to get into churches and share the gospel. It's beautiful. So we're really praying, saying, God, what's your direction for us? We do know that Torben ain't going to be here forever, and the school's still going to have to function. And I think most TLR leadership helpers, they're going to probably be more in the English-speaking countries, the United States and in Europe and some of these places that Torben would most likely be going. But this Mexico hub that we're building here, it needs to keep running. And so we keep thinking to ourselves, well, why not us? Why can't we stay here and help keep this thing running, and work with the locals here? Like, I think it'd be really powerful for our family, for our children to grow up in the mission field, with the mission mindedness. And we're already seeing a movement started, like a disciple making movement among the locals here. And it's like, I don't want to see that stop. In fact, I want to keep going harder with it. And it's going to get more and more easier, I think, for us as we learn the language and are not always reliant on a translator in the streets and all of that. So we're really praying about direction and saying, God, what do you want for us as a family? I'm okay with going back to the normal work. I actually really enjoyed my job back in the States, in sales. And now here I am getting to, in some sense, like sell the gospel, not that it's sales and not that we're selling the gospel, but you know what I mean? Like, getting to share the gospel and seeing people buy into the kingdom of God, like, it's just beautiful. Just a cool, just an interesting dynamic there. So anyways, life has been going great. And we're excited for what the rest of the school is going to hold, and then even the future. So thanks for praying for us. And I think probably our biggest needs right now is just continue to pray for our finances, that the Lord would continue to provide, and also just direction. Show us what we should be aiming towards as this school comes closer to its end in August, early August, so that we kind of have an idea of what we're going to do. At the end of this school, there's going to be like a week and a half break, and then there's going to be a 2-week Spanish speaking only school, like a mini PTS of sorts. And then after that, for those that want to, there's going to be a cross Mexico, like mission trip, basically going place to place, meeting with persons of peace across the nation, doing kickstarts, perhaps, whatever's going to happen, like we want to go, whoever's willing to go, to make things happen, to Mexico City, to all these places. So anyways, really excited. We're thinking if we are going to leave and go back to the States, which is what we're really, I think, leaning towards, at least for a season, then driving out maybe with that team, and just enjoying all that God has for us on that trip throughout the month of September. Get back into the States like late September, early October, get our schoolie finally finished, maybe in a couple weeks, and then I don't know, either being back to work and I can work remotely while we travel, go place to place in the States for a season, or just live by faith and just trust that God's going to take care of our needs. And as a family, still travel the U.S. and go like raise awareness and do whatever God has for us there. Bring the gospel, and and then just plan to come back to Mexico for the next international school, which will be probably like mid to late January of next year. So we're praying about what our options are, and what the Lord would have for us, and that He would just make it clear in this season. So thank you for your prayers. If you hear any words for us, please send them our way. We really would appreciate it. Blessings to you guys. Adios.